facial expressions and appearance.
Okay, so when we talk about communication, it may be verbal or vocal,
Vocal and
non-vocal, meaning that verbal may be written as well, and non-verbal can be also vocal. This is important, that if we don't see a person, we rely on non-verbal communication even when we talk on the phone. And here we'll see that such vocal moments as tone of voice, sighs, like, and we understand that the person has hardships or doesn't like you or doesn't like this conversation, then loudness, they all are vocal factors that are still non-verbal, that they are not verbal. And of course, there are lots of non-vocal types, parts in this communication, which are what we can see. They're not what we can hear, but what we can see. They will be gestures, movements, appearance, and of course, written communication. Good. Ira, next.
Up to 7% is transmitted through the verbal type of communication, and the rest is transmitted by means of nonverbal communication. Up to 38% it can be vocal, such as volume, pitch, rhythm, and so forth, and 55% non-vocal, everything we can see.
Imagine that only 7%, these numbers are different, but this is how much we do through nonverbal means. They are, again, vocal, non-vocal, but they are non-verbal, and only 7% are verbal. So now tell me, please, what are the cultural dimensions that we have just revised and that are very closely connected with nonverbal communication? And
high and low context.
Absolutely, Ira, thank you. It's about high and low context cultures. And tell me, please, about low context culture. What will be?
Only verbal.
Not only verbal, but the percentage of verbal will be higher. Yeah, and in high context,
non-verbal will be higher.
The percentage of non-verbal will be much higher. Okay, good. Ler, next.
So there are certain differences between verbal and non-verbal communication, and they are like single versus multiple channels. So we may express our emotions and so we may express ourselves only in a single way, like with words in verbal communications, or there are multiple channels like gestures, speech or voice, and so on and so forth in non-verbal communication. Also, they are discrete and continuous. Like discrete, as far as I understand, is that we are mostly direct with our words.
Yeah, it's just like you say the word and you stop. Yeah, so you don't pronounce the same word. But when you talk to a person, you are still in this non-verbal part because you look at the person, you understand the pauses, you understand how the person looks at you. That's why, yeah. So verbal is discrete, it ends, and non-verbal continues. Okay, good.
Also, they are conscious and unconscious. So it means that we say everything with words consciously, but what we show, how we speak, may be unconscious.
Yeah, and the same actually happens to how we understand it. Yeah, we may understand words literally with their direct meaning, but so many gestures, so many non-verbal means will be differently perceived in different cultures. Yeah? So unconsciously, we may be threatened by some gestures that are not peculiar to our culture. Okay, and finally,
And finally, what we say with the words is quite clear. So verbal communication is clear, and whereas nonverbal communication is ambiguous, it means that in different cultures, the same gestures may be considered in different ways.
Yeah, ambiguous means ambiguity means двойственность. Да? So it means that some gestures may be perceived directly like this, yeah? Or you can be ambiguous about these gestures. You know that in some cultures people nod their heads to show that they are not really sure what they do, or to show that they don't like the idea. Yeah? So let's check, and we'll see that it's about the same. In verbal communication, one channel, one word after the other. In non-verbal communication, there is simultaneous multitude of channels. Face, expressions, gesture, poses, clothing, what you do, how you stand, how you come, how you touch, like all these channels, they are connected. So we've seen that 38 and 55% are nonverbal, while all the 7 are verbal, and altogether 93% of communication is nonverbal. But again, I have told you that these may be different figures. Okay, Igor, next. Why nonverbal communication is relevant?
So there we can see some reasons. There are 5 of them. The first one is that nonverbal communication is our richest source of information about emotions and feelings. So with the help of it, we can understand the feelings and emotions better.
Yeah, so continue, please. Yeah.
The next one is that nonverbal communication is less apt to deceive, distort, or conceal. So as far as I understand, it means that nonverbal communication helps us to understand the information, like to understand the deception maybe in the communication. Something like this.
If someone wants to deceive you but uses certain nonverbal means that show it, you probably will be able to get it if you're aware of them. Next.
Paralanguage communicates between the lines, and paralanguage is defined as vocal qualities such as pitch, rate, and tone. So you using like pitch, tone, and rate, we can understand the just a second, like what is inside, not just what is said, but the deepest like meaning of the message, maybe.
Absolutely. So very often when we hear people, we can easily say if they are surprised or they don't like what we're talking about, or just so many other moments. Igor, continue.
The next point is that nonverbal communication is highly efficient, and the gestures that communicate easily and readily, what it may take several words to communicate. So we can also gestures are useful there, and they help us once again understand the like more deep messages, information.
Yeah. So they add up. With this, we can understand more. When we punctuate, there is even the idea when you make presentations, they say punctuate your presentation with your body language. It means if you want to be clear, if you want to be well understood, you need to use your body to punctuate the conversation. And finally,
the final point, it provides subtlety and suggestion to imply what we cannot or don't want to commit two words. So it means that those like information that we don't want to say in
Verbalize,
words.
that we don't
Yeah.
want to verbalize.
Yeah, we like transit through some gestures, like voice, speech, tone, and so on.
Very good. Thank you. Okay. Next. Len, come on.
Okay, there are some characteristics of nonverbal communication, including the following. It is continuous, it is rich in meaning, it can be confusing.
Like
it means
crossing
that-
arms, we may
Yeah.
think that the person is making a barrier between us and themselves, but also it may happen when people are cold and they cross their arms or cross their legs. Yeah? So, of course, it can be confusing.
Okay, it conveys emotion. It is guided by norms and rules of appropriateness, and it is culture bound.
Yeah, so that will be the topic of your presentations. We'll be discussing different or we'll be discussing these differences in nonverbal communication, but not next Monday, but the Monday after it. Okay, good. Larissa, next.
Okay, functions of nonverbal communication. Redundancy, this refers to
Redundancy. Yeah?
redundancy. This refers to when nonverbal communication may say the same thing as the words.
Yeah, it may
So-
be redundant. It may tell you the same. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
For example, I don't know.
Yeah. Or it has the function of the substitution.
Substitution. Nonverbal communicated may serve to replace words altogether.
Yeah. So like this gesture, we don't need to illustrate it with words. No.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Complementation. It may
Supplement.
supplement or modify the words. Emphasis. It may accentuate or punctuate the words.
Yeah, that's what I told you. You add emphasis with your body, and that's how you become more efficient in your communication. The last one,
Contradiction. It may conflict with the words. Lie detector test. Sarcasm. Regulation.
The sarcasm as the figure of speech is very well connected with how you pronounce it.
And often used nowadays.
Yeah,
Very widely used.
Yeah, you may pronounce, you may praise the person, but your facial expression, gestures, and how you say it will show that this is sarcasm. For example, many people will say "хорошо," and you understand that it's not good.
Или делай, что хочешь.
And you understand that you shouldn't do it.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So very often this contradiction in verbal and non-verbal communication, it is like it serves to show sarcasm. Okay, and finally?
Regulation, it may regulate the flow of verbal interaction.
It's clear, yeah? So
Yes.
regulation means that you stop, you say, you please, yeah? So I don't, if we were in a class, I would regulate our communication with my gestures without saying your names. So, and it helps a lot. Okay, good. Lev, next.
So there are some forms of nonverbal communication. We may refer here emblems that have a decent verbal translation, and illustrators, nonverbal cues directly tied to speech.
It's clear, yeah? Sometimes it's an emblem, you just say it and that's it. Or you illustrate your words, or
Or it's affect displays, nonverbal cues that reveal emotions, and regulators, nonverbal cues that regulate and give and take of speaking.
Clear, yeah. So it how it regulates or how it affects, and finally.
And finally, adapters, objects manipulated for a purpose served unique purposes of nonverbal communication.
Yeah, so very often it helps us to adapt, to see how the person adapts to a certain situation. Okay, and let's go to these cues. Let's go to spatial, visual, and vocal cues that tell us about the forms of nonverbal communication. They are about space, they are about what we see, they are about how we pronounce it, and they are also about touch. Igor, comment on this slide.
Okay, so once again, non-verbal cues can be divided into 4 categories. The first one is, how is it pronounced? Spatial cues?
Spatial, of course, space, but spatial.
Spatial cues. It's like for personal bubbles and intimate personal social distance. So this one is about personal space and like yeah, for this one. And next is visual cues for facial expressions, eye contact, body stance and posture, and personal appearance. So it describes just like the appearance, like features of appearance. And vocal cues for attributes of sound and convey meaning and silence. So it's about our vocal, like pitch, tone, and so on. And touch cues, it's simple, just how we maybe
how
do
we
with
interact
our
using
hands.
haptics, using our touch. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good. And the importance of posture is also here because they all are body cues. They are the position of a person, and we even by this position we can say if the person is relaxed or the person is really stressed. So I think you can recognize the feelings here. This person is, what is the good adjective?
Surprise, maybe.
Yeah, but he's also busy. Yeah, so he's busy and he shows, he looks at, he touches his glasses. So probably he's thinking of the decision. He's giving a decision.
I think he's concentrated.
Yeah, he's concentrating, and very often it shows like where your hands are. It also shows what you concentrate on. When you are here, so it's often like you want to see something in front of you. This person is
Maybe
Sad.
sad, disappointed.
do you think so?
Thoughtful.
Yeah, he's thinking, he's just looking. Okay, this person will understand.
He's
This
happy.
person, of course, yeah.
Confused, maybe.
Okay,
Confused.
this person is confused, scornful, they're not believing you. And this person, he looks like he might be in love. Yeah? But
Maybe he just calm.
okay.
Or dreaming about something.
Yeah. So again, lots of expressions, and we can see that this person is not satisfied. This person
At all.
yeah. This person is surprised. This person is hungry or unhappy. Yeah. So this person is welcoming. Still, we can use lots of vocabulary talking about facial management and facial expressions. But also here we can talk about communication, the connection, how you manage your face, your eyes, and so on. And later we will talk about how to manage them, yeah? How to neutralize or intensify or de-intensify, what eye contact means, yeah? So, and what kinesthetic, how you communicate with your body, with gestures, we will talk about it later. But also in nonverbal communication, emblems are maybe the biggest buzz, because with so many emblems, with so many like this, yeah, in some cultures in victory, it's victory, in some cultures it's hello, in some cultures it's something different. This, like many, lots of gestures, but they're called emblems that usually people talk about, but also posture, what we think of this, voice, then rate the speaker, you do the clarity of your words, and so on and so forth. All these parts like touch, haptics, clothing, yeah, so they are the parts of nonverbal communication we will be discussing next time.